You ain't seen nothing yet. If you think that the e-files have been shocking and despairing and everything else, I think that there's way more.
There's going to be even more uncovered. That's going to be uncomfortable. She did appear in Playboy when she was age 10.
Holly Weird, Holly Weird. I agree. It's a sunset for Holly Weird.
There's no sugarcoating it. She's basically been pimped out at a very young age by the mom.
So the secrets that are coming out now are very Virgo, virgin, purity. It's not a conspiracy. It's an actuality. For all the conspiracy theorists out there, it's like, yeah, I told you so, but I don't want to be right. Lunatic astrology. This isn't just a full moon. It's a blood moon eclipse, and it's the third in a rare sequence. And when the sky turns this red, things hidden tend to surface. You know, financial tremors, political flashpoints, manufactured narratives being revealed. This kind of Virgo eclipse can ask us as well, what in our collective society needs to be purified, or what in our own lives as well needs purification. And boy, do we have a lot of things coming out in our collective news cycle that demand purification. We all feel restless, tense, stirred up, and anxious. I get it. But this is the place where we can find as well stillness in the storm. So you can use this eclipse to make yourself more centered in the middle of the chaos around you. So we're going to talk about how this eclipse works for world astrology today with astrologer Donny Lim. At the very end of the World Astrology Report, he's going to also bring your attention to what he thinks it could mean for your sign. And there's a wonderful conversation that Donny and I will have at the very end of the video. The last 10 minutes are where we're kind of unplugged together. If you want to hear kind of what we both think about reality, you definitely want to stay to the end of this video. So welcome to my channel. My name's Lori Lothian, and this is the eclipse of a century, if you ask me. And we're going to talk about how you can go through this eclipse cycle with a modicum of inner peace as well. So let's get going. Welcome in the early hours of the morning for Lori and Donny late at night. Welcome, Donny, to our my channel again. Everyone loves you so much when you talk world astrology. How you doing?
I'm good. I mean, you know, this is the hat trick opportunity. This is my third podcast in such a short time. So there's a lot of correlation with this upcoming total lunar blood moon eclipse and the number 3, actually, when I think about it.
Okay, well, I'm so excited to know more. For me, as this eclipse is pending between the Aquarius eclipse and then the Virgo eclipse coming through the sky, I really feel quite agitated. And I'm not normally, I know that it's an Aquarius eclipse, I'm Aquarius rising, but I've even had clients and friends telling me things like they're waking up anxious in the night. And one person I know says she only gets this kind of feeling when there's something really bad going to happen in the world. I hope not. I really do. But, you know, every eclipse brings change. It changes the name of the game on the board of life, game board of life. So we have to remember that these are sort of celestial mechanics of destiny. So we're going to let you take it away. I understand you provided a wonderful slideshow for us. And I'm going to interrupt you when I have a question or a thought, but otherwise I'd love to have you take over. Sound good?
Sounds really good. Talking about being shaken awake in that sense, I basically felt the tremors of that 7.1 magnitude Malaysia earthquake that just happened like a few days back.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was like close to 1 in the morning. So I was like, I felt this tremor. I thought I was like, you know, what's that Carole King song? I felt the earth move under my feet.
That's one of my favorite songs. I know. You're in, for our audience, you're in Singapore, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And because like Malaysia, there's like the mainland, which is slightly northbound of Singapore, but there's one that's like the other side, which is like separated by an ocean. And that's the part of Malaysia that had a 7.1 deep sea earthquake. Yeah, a few days after the partial solar eclipse that we just had. So.
Yeah, well, the Earth is shaking. Uranus is there in fixed Earth on Algol, so there's that. With Mars squaring as we speak,
also Saturn and Neptune together at 0 Aries, so the Pacific Ring of Fire is well and alive and awakened.
Exactly, and the star that's at the end of Pisces isn't so hot either. Sheet. No. So we could all like buckle up, folks, and hope that you are not in the zone of shaking Earth and rings of fire. So, Donny, go ahead and give us some stories about the sky. I'd love to listen.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I found it really interesting that this particular total lunar eclipse is happening on 3rd of March. It's the third consecutive total lunar blood moon eclipse, and it will happen to the hour at minute 33.
Wow.
So talk about five threes. And if we think about in esotericism, the number three represents divine harmony, perfection, and synthesis of opposites, acting like a bridge between duality and stability. And number three is really talking about the trinity of existence, such as mind, body, and spirit, past, present, and future. Very important. It's almost like that infinity symbol, past, future,
Mm.
present. And also like,
Don't forget the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
oh yeah, that's coming soon. And also like birth, life, and death, basically signifying a holistic completeness and spiritual wisdom. So of course, like what you mentioned is about divine trinity. It's also talking about synthesis of opposites. Number three is also the symbol of creation. And it also is very much talking about the Pythagorean view, because three is seen as the first real number, representing harmony, wisdom, and understanding. And last but not least is also like structure and time as well.
Mm.
So because it talks about beginning, middle, and end, right? 3 points, very
Right.
much.
3x structures.
And yes, and of course, like Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit as well. So this is the third consecutive total blood moon eclipse. I've talked about this in the 2 prior podcasts with you, and I actually consider this a near-tetrad of blood moon eclipses, because the next one that will happen in late August 2026, that one is technically a partial lunar eclipse, but more than 80% of the moon is still eclipsed. So I treat that as like, okay, number 4. This is technically a true total lunar blood moon eclipse. And this is what I've shown before. And this is what we are going through right now. And the next time we're going to have the same phenomena is going to be in 2032.
Mm.
And by the way, by the time the audience actually get to see this video premiering, go out to your balcony if it's clear skies to actually look at the planetary parade happening on the last day of February of 2026. Because we won't have something quite like this again till 2040. So you can see everything just kind of is coming together, trying to say that 2026 is such a transformational year for a lot of us, having this phenomena, this planetary parade in between eclipses. The next one, in which I'll talk about later this year, is less than 24 hours before the total solar eclipse. So talk about things being like monumental, like a massive turning point of sorts.
You mean the August 12th eclipse, right?
Yes, the 20-degree Leo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So less than 24 hours prior to that, we're going to have another planetary parade. And so I've covered this before, so I'll just go through it pretty fast. Every time when there's a tetrad of blood moon eclipses, there's this theme or there's this energy of historical shifts that's occurring in the collective. And I've basically summarized this person's book, John McGee, and he wrote this book called Four Blood Moons, Something's About to Change, and how he actually ties this phenomena, which is the tetrad of blood moon eclipses, to the evolution of the Jewish faith. And also is later on linked to Israel as well. But I have found towards the end of this small little section, which I'll go through, is also tied to the Chinese Communist Party very much. So it's happening in parallel.
Wow. There's a lot going on in China.
Oh, definitely. And if we actually look at the first one happened like way before the Chinese Communist Party came into place. This was in 1493 to 1494. And people can read what actually happened to the Jewish people then in respect or in relation to Spain.
Mm.
And then we move on to 1948 to 1949. That's when Israel was founded. And this is also the time when the Chinese Communist Party came into power as well. So it's also significant for China, put that way. And then 1967 to 1968. I mean, if we think about this year, there's always this whole talk about the year of the fire horse. The last time it happened was 1966, around this period.
Mm.
And there was a lot of things happening in China as well. So this tetrad of blood moon eclipses in 1967 to 68 also applies to China, because not to forget, if we actually use the power of lunar shadows, when the total lunar blood moon eclipses happens around these years, we have to also count backwards by 18 months. That's when the new moon equivalent of all this total lunar eclipses was seeded. So it's well within 1966 over here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, he's using the lunar shadows tool, guys, for those of you who are learning astrology, to look at seed energy in a 9.5 month cycle before eclipses, before lunations. But I want to just ask a question about what you just shared. So the 1967 war, right? I mean, you could look at it a lot of ways. You could look at it, many ways, but it ended up redrawing territorial maps in the Middle East, correct?
Mm.
In other words, for the situation that happened then, if it does ally with the pastor's book about the blood moons, I mean, if you had to put what the hell happened in 67 with the 6 days war, I mean, doesn't that literally mean that there's new territorial maps in the Middle East around the nation of Ai?
Yeah, I mean, you said it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to say, so we could expect a redrawing of the map of what is where. Right. Okay, good. I just want to say, what does that look like in terms of historically we look back and go, yeah, and then we had some new territorial maps in terms of territory, occupied territory, possessed territory. Okay, great.
I mean, what they're doing in Gaza right now is very much, symbolically the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Over here. And it's spearheaded by, what was that? Board of Peace or something?
The Board of Peace, yeah. You mean
Ironic, I know.
the real estate condo reconstruction casino company?
Yeah, and it's headed by Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner's part of the family.
I know. It's his Kushner's wet dream. I know. Who happens to be quite a devout and very orthodox religious person in the Judaic tradition. So
maybe someone can also put in the comments below this video that did Trump actually convert to Judaism? Yeah. I'm just wondering.
You mean Kushner did, or Trump's daughter did? Yes.
No, Trump himself.
What the heck? Where? Since when?
Yeah, that's why people can probably investigate and put, in the comments below. I know the Ivanka did, the daughter did.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's interesting data. Okay, in the comments, guys, do your research. Bring receipts. Yes. Okay.
And then in more recent times, we've got like 2014 to 2015, the tetrad of total lunar blood moon eclipses, and all these things happened. And this one happened in Gaza itself. And then in the most recent times is the near-tetrad of blood moon eclipse that started last year. And so that's why we are in the third consecutive total lunar blood moon eclipse coming up on 3rd of March 2026. So I've just put down here that, there's a lot of linkages between Israel and China when I investigate the trends. And particularly when the CCP came into power over here in 1948 to 1949, I find that this cycle, and this cycle, it all kind of comes together. A lot of things are happening. They're always on the news, both Israel and China. And that's because of this phenomena.
And China, Aquarius rising, and the eclipses are coming through Aquarius. We can only surmise that there will be major changes, just even based on the Aquarian eclipse cycle that is beginning now.
Mm. And also Pluto is right over modern China's ascendant and moon
Yeah, exactly.
as well in early degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this one I'll just leave it here because people can watch the previous what do you call that podcast for me to explain more about this.
I'll be
And I'll
putting a
just like
link.
to
We'll have a link
yes,
to the other podcasts we've done together under the video, so you guys can go watch those as well. And
I think it's under the section Astro Collaborations on your channel.
it is, yeah. Okay, so we
And
see this intensity, right? You're giving us a stamp for rare, intense, and
yeah,
incredibly reliable change for China and the Middle East.
fingers crossed and toes crossed as well pertaining to that.
Yep.
And so now let's jump into what's happening on March 3rd in a few days. And
Wonderful.
this total lunar eclipse will happen in a sign of Virgo at around 12 to 13 degrees. So the Sabian symbol for this total lunar eclipse is about a powerful statesman overcomes a crowd. I find this very interesting because this particular total lunar eclipse will trigger the Saturn of Minneapolis.
Mm.
So this is bringing forth some kind of potential like stirring of energies over there. And also the astrocartography also suggests that something in Minneapolis is going to be triggered as well over this blood moon eclipse. So if we actually look at the Sabian symbol meaning for this particular TLE or total lunar eclipse is about the ability to maintain composure, strength, and authority amidst chaotic, noisy, and demanding situations. It also talks about mastery of overcoming opposition through calm, strategic waiting rather than rigid reactive force. So it's asking us to kind of, it's almost like practicing Tai Chi. You got to like strategically maneuver around things rather than just like go hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, no one's a winner, to be honest. And so I've written here that, this is about steadiness under pressure, strategic patience, avoidance of extremes, and also mastery of influence. But this 13-degree Virgo Sabian symbol total lunar eclipse also talks about the potential employment of state resources, such as armed forces, in order to contain the crowd of sorts as well.
Yeah, because Dane Rujar's book likes to use the word hysteria. And, he's like a powerful statesman or whatever overcomes political hysteria. And I mean, what the whole of the world has become hysteria, but it doesn't feel like a calm energy for the collective and the political collective at all. Let's say that.
Because honestly, the plus I can think about all this is that because Mercury will be the trigger coming up, because Mercury is retrograding and will be passing over the 12 to 13-degree Pisces point two more times in March itself, both in March. And hysteria, yes, if you think about Mercury in Pisces, activating this eclipse in particular. Not to mention that actually this and the prior one, if you think about it, the partial solar eclipse happened in Aquarius, which is in triplicity to Gemini, a Mercury root sign.
Mm-hmm.
This one is in Virgo, is in a Mercury root sign. So Mercury plays into all this activations over this period.
Right, and Mercury in Pisces isn't in good condition. So the ruler of this eclipse is in detriment. So there is a condition of like, well, how well can he operate to control the eclipse in his Virgo, homestead?
And not to forget that the sign of Pisces is actually talking about smoke screens. So things are not what they seem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And by the way, the former Prince Andrew got arrested. I can smell a smoke screen just right off the bat,
Right.
Is to cover up something else. And I've also written here that this particular total lunar blood moon eclipse belongs to the Lunar Saros series 133, which is a south node or K2 family of lunar eclipses that's ruled by the element fire. If we think about the background energies of 2026, right now we are already in this cardinal energy. I think right now the background energy is ruled by Capricorn. And then when Jupiter enters Leo, it will switch to Aries in the background. Both cardinal signs, both signs are in which Mars function very well in. So fire, more fire.
Yeah.
And this total lunar eclipse is also ruled by the element fire as well.
And we have another 33, right? So we're getting a lot of those threes.
Yeah, so 3 and more threes. And I've just written here that, like a quote for a change, just to become more philosophical. And this particular family of lunar eclipses is all about letting go and the ability to dream. I think because we are so kind of locked into all those fear-inducing energies that's being projected to us, be it from everywhere, things that's happening in the world or through the media that makes it much worse. I'm talking about, mainstream media. However, it's also talking about securities and also financial exchange transactions on a global scale. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've read that Europe is pulling away from Visa and MasterCard as a platform to use.
Wow. That's a big deal.
They're trying to decouple, to kind of de-risk, put it that way. I think that's the exact term that they use. So we're going to have some changes. Like, for example, if you want to go to Europe, you probably have to download their apps to facilitate payments in the few years to come. And this particular total lunar eclipse family does suggest exactly that. It's also talking about the human cost of things, those human concerns, rather than you or should I say the collective, are going into or should I say hang on to any local irritations and disputes. Look at the bigger picture, because it's about the moon in Virgo and the sun in Pisces is the axis. So the microcosm of things and the macrocosm of things.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you choose to focus on? This will be your experience. And if we think about the Lunar Saros series 133, those years in which that family of eclipses actually occurred, I've basically written all here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are right at around here. The next time it swings around with 2044.
So I would like to ask you something about this then, because I really liked what you got with those Saros 133 dates. It grabs my attention. Well, 2008 was the world financial sub-loan crisis, thing. That was definitely a crisis. By the way, guys listening in, Mercury rules commerce, markets, commercial transactions, banking, stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons this can come up, because Mercury rules the Virgo eclipse. But one thing I just want to ask you to consider and what you think about it, Virgo, the Virgin, right, is about purity. It's about archetypally the divine feminine. It's about the priestess archetype. And with Regulus in 2012 in the Western tropical zodiac sky has moved into Virgo, zero Virgo. And so, guys, stars are not moving every 70 odd years. Basically, what happens is our wobble on Earth and everything else. Yeah, precession of the equinoxes gives us a different angle on the star. So it's now out of Regulus, out of Leo for thousands of years, is now sitting in Virgo, which is the Virgin in 2012. But what I'm thinking about, not only was it going to be the Mayan end of the world calendar, which we're still here talking about it, but 1917 was the Fatima sightings in which people, this feminine deity was telling these three girls that, where I'm coming and I'll give you proof. And then everybody in Portugal saw, different things. Most people thought they were orbs. Some people now think they were plasma balls. Some people think they were UFOs. But the divine archetype of the divine feminine, or Sophia in the Gnostic tradition, I look at 1917 and I see something good back there. What do you think, Donny?
I mean, if you think about the axis of Virgo and Pisces, like Pisces is about the invisible realm, and also like the bigger, much bigger cosm of things. And then Virgo is like, give me proof.
Yes, give me proof. Make it real.
Make me feel it. Convince me.
Yeah.
That's this energy of Virgo.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
And
Maybe we'll have a sighting, or maybe we'll get so much UFO disclosure that the next thing we see is aliens on the White House lawn having a party with the with the president. I don't even know.
actually, that one will be the unfolding partial solar eclipse that we did in the previous podcast. The next unfolding date will be in Scorpio season. I think it's around middle of November 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I identify that period as like potential, as a potential period for alien disclosure. But then it's also the California governor race as well.
Okay, well, it's good to know. And with Venus in her zero Scorpio star point in third week of October, anything Scorpio, which is secrets disclosed and things that were hidden can be revealed. It's going to be an interesting time for a lot of stuff.
On one hand, there's the alien disclosure, but on the other hand, I do see that the next governor of California will be a Republican male.
Mm.
And I already identified the name on Substack.
You want to give? Yeah, tell us who. Who do you think is going to be? Who is it going to be?
There's Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton. These two are both Republican males. And because both, they don't have like a birth time to begin with. So I just work off with whatever that I have. And seems like Chad Bianco, who's a sheriff in Riverside, California, I think, he has a bigger chance than Steve Hilton around that time.
Yeah. Well, that would be a big sea change, given California's history of being so particularly blue and democratic. So it'll be fun to watch what happens. Yeah.
Well, I am anticipating a lot of relocation readings being booked in from people who's living there coming up.
That's so funny. Well, it's not a bad idea to relocate when you're also on an earthquake fault. So you got more than one reason. Yeah, you and I both still feel anxious about earthquakes in California being still unfulfilled prophecy, so to speak.
Actually, I do have an astro colleague who's until like the last few days, she was in PV, Porto Vallarta.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically saw like the plume of smokes going up in the city. And thank God she got back to the States like well,
Oh, good, good.
Yeah. And if we actually think about the validity of a lunar eclipse, I usually like to use like this technique, okay? Like if the lunar eclipse is active for 60 minutes, it lasts for roughly a year. So 60 minutes for a year. That's the kind of yardstick that I use. This particular upcoming total lunar blood moon eclipse lasts for 82 minutes. So it's pretty long. If I translate that into the length of time in validity, it's around about 1.6 years. This actually leads us into the triple eclipse season of July to August 2027. So this eclipse will be following us all the way till this period of time.
Alrighty.
So this one is pretty huge because it lasts for pretty long.
Yeah, I use that technique too. Yeah.
Maybe this number is not exactly correct because, I didn't have enough time to go through the slides multiple times.
Oh, that's
But
okay.
this will basically,
It's roughly 90 minutes, which is 18 months in translation. So it makes sense that it's, the intensity of an eclipse, by totality and then by duration, right? I mean, this is not just like, oh, we had a vibe for 3 months after, like the
oh no,
collective,
much longer.
the collective is going to roll out the vibration of this. It's almost like an echo that continues forward to 2027 summer. Yeah.
Yeah. And next year, we will not have 4 eclipses, but 5, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that, but that's cool. So we have a strange season coming up next year.
Yes. Instead of 4, we got 5 eclipses.
Mm.
And famous people who are born under this Lunar Sorrow series, 133 Oprah, Nelson Mandela, and Bear Stearns. I know, right?
Yeah.
And I've basically written here, like in summary, what do we have to look out for when this eclipse family basically sets in? There's about to have some kind of financial shakeup. I have been observing the price of silver that's gone up recently, actually. And interestingly, the next activation of this total lunar eclipse via an opposition by transit Mercury in retrograde in Pisces will happen on around 11th of March. That's when Jupiter also station direct.
Mm-hmm.
Both in water signs, though they'll be trining. I am actually anticipating around 11th of March, silver may actually suddenly spike up a lot on that day. And the last activation by Mercury, now direct, will hit the 12 to 13 Pisces degree on 31st of March. And I think that's why in our last podcast, talking about the solar eclipse, I did say that from middle of February all the way till end of March, I will keep my travel plans tight. Get yourself enough coverage, travel insurance-wise, to prevent yourself being disappointed.
Yeah.
Because of that Mercury in Pisces retrograde back and forth, activating this particular.
You did mention that. You did, and you turns out to be quite prophetic. I want to really say I love what you wrote about, the darkness within and, all of that paragraph. I was just reading as you were speaking, and I think that's really a good thing to remind people of. Soul searching, decluttering, going deep, joyful release, pent-up emotions, and long-held anxieties, because there is a lot of collective anxiety in the field, right? I cannot count the people who watch my YouTube channel are saying, oh no, I'm so afraid now. Like, there's just something about the collective anxiety levels that are always so hyped up. And it's partly because there is a manipulation of humanity by darker forces that feed on fear and anxiety. But nonetheless, we can use this kind of clarity that you're giving us here so that we don't always have to walk through the world, waiting for the sky to fall, right? You know what I mean? Like, yes, bad things happen all of the time in the world, bad in quotes, but it's also, there's a larger play at hand, right? I hate to be Star Wars on everybody, forces of dark and light, but there is a larger play at hand, and the light will prevail, right? What do you think, Donny?
I mean, you said it right. Basically, I needed to write this whole, or should I say, summarize all this information to kind of give people like the bigger picture of things. Because we do have like the North Node Venus and Mercury all in Pisces.
Yeah.
That's transiting through that part of the zodiac, so people needed to kind of see the bigger picture of things.
Mm-hmm.
And the AA slogan, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, and 1 step at a time, says it best. Perhaps that's your watchwords to sanity. This is what Virgo demands, actually.
Right. And I say read some good books like The Power of Now if you haven't read that classic. Anything that will remind you that there's a place of presence that you can inhabit in the midst of, like, being at the eye of the hurricane within yourself, the stillness that's there for all of us. Because I still love the Virgo Virgin archetype for this kind of essential feminine purity and magic and ritual magic in a good way. And there's nothing like when you settle into my mornings have candles every morning. I sit with the candles in the quiet, dark morning dawn, finding some still place within your life, no matter how chaotic it is.
Not to forget that Virgo is also the sign of ceremonial magic and also
Exactly.
routine, basically.
And routine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it. My Virgo rising daughter reminds me of that all the time. She's always got some routine going, and she's I call she never deviates from routine. When she's figured it one out, she's got it going.
I mean, after a while, it just becomes like muscle memory, right? Like this time, do this and just do all this like checklists. And I've just checked. It's not 1.64 years; it's 16.4 months.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to make sure that my Virgo rising gets fulfilled. It's not 1.64 years, it's 16.4 months. Yes, it still leads us to July to August. So this eclipse, this particular eclipse will bring us to the next summer, the triple eclipse season. And let's talk a little bit about where can you see this particular total lunar blood moon eclipse. So I've basically put here with compliments from AstroSeek, and you can see this eclipse at sunset along the East Coast, and you can even see that, I think, in Central America as well. And I can see it at sunrise because this is where I am.
Right.
Yeah. And Europe won't be able to see it. No eclipse available. Yeah.
So do you adhere to the idea that the path of visible totality is a place in the world that will have the most disturbance in the wake of this eclipse?
Yes, or things that may manifest or originate from those places.
Okay.
So, not surprisingly, this particular total lunar eclipse, it does pass by Miami and Palm Beach in Florida, where Mar-a-Lago is.
Yeah.
Over here. So more about the Epi or Epstein files,
Yeah.
Some things about to unfold. And I've basically talked about this earlier in our previous podcast about this particular total lunar eclipse was really activated by the transit through North Node and South Node back in 3rd to 21st of December of last year. This is where the transit through and South Node basically was along the 12 to 13 degree Virgo Pisces axis.
When did the Transparency Act get passed? Was it in the fall of 25 for the e-files?
I would think so. Yeah. I think it's around the partial solar eclipse at the last degree of Virgo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 29 Virgo was it? Yeah. But it's so close to the world axis. It's less than a degree off to 0 Libra. So that one is also a pretty prominent eclipse to begin with. But this particular upcoming total lunar blood moon eclipse was already activated by the transit nodes. And this happened in the 1st to 3rd week of December 2025. And we all know what happened on 14th of December 2025 at Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. I will not. And it was the first day of Hanukkah. So you can see what I talked about earlier in this podcast regarding the near-tetrad of blood moon eclipses. It ties into the whole theme of the Jewish faith. And
their holidays, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I had some comments on our bottom of our video last time from that when we talked about that, when people didn't understand what we were saying. I think some people don't understand if you use the word F flag. Okay, I don't want to use that word, FALS, false, whatever, that you're saying that it didn't happen. Yeah, but if you're saying it didn't, no, we're not saying something didn't happen. We're saying it's engineered to happen. And
I think the proper term is psych-op because there's actual casualty.
Yeah, psychological operation. And I was just listening to a podcast with a lead figure in the world right now sort of busting out as a questioner, which is Tucker Carlson. He was talking with another guy, and one of the things that they were worried about, and in the big picture, would be that there will be a psychological operation of an event that impacts the United States to conjure mass consensus for war. So hopefully that isn't true, right? But it is one of the risks that I think we are facing right now, because the mass consensus in the United States about going to war with any country in the Middle East is like not there. There's no desire in the populace. Yeah. It's 20% of the population thinks a war with Iran is a good idea. 20% of the American population in polls. So there's no political consensus amongst the people for that. And so how can you manufacture consensus?
You said it best, manufacturing like consent. Mm-hmm. By creating some kind of event that will lead to a certain outcome that's what you're looking for. In order to push a narrative forward.
But so many people are skeptical these days. I'm not sure that the old game of manufactured consent will work anymore. We'll see.
People ask me, like, what's the motto of this total lunar eclipse? I said, not today, Satan, not today. And people can look at our first podcast together talking about the transit Venus star point in Capricorn, and also the previous one talking about the partial solar eclipse for more information. So this is like part 3 of things. Mm-hmm. And I've also shown this before, very briefly. And this is the astrocartography map of the energies that's going to engulf the world the moment of this seeding in of this total lunar blood moon eclipse. And what's really interesting is that I've included Hawaii. So Hawaii may be also experiencing some geoseismic activity over this total lunar eclipse. Mm-hmm. Alaska, I've already mentioned this. I think Alaska did get some magnitude 6 plus earthquakes over the past 2 weeks or something.
Okay.
So it's up there. And I've put down here, like, Beijing, North South Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Philippines. These may be geoseismic activities, but it may be also political unrest as well. There's this energy of being on a tightrope and some flashpoint black swan event that may be going on in these areas in the world.
And for those of people who don't know what black swan events are, can you define that for everybody, please?
It's almost like everything is already tense. I mean, nothing is as tense as a total blood moon eclipse. And you just need like a small little spark to just trigger off a whole movement or protest or just people going to the streets and just like, be in a state of hysteria because they've officially had it. Yeah.
Okay. I see in your list of angularity, Hawaii and Thailand, but you've also got Washington, D.C. in there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because you can see the
Eastern Seaboard, yeah.
You can see this total lunar eclipse at moonset. And this is right across Miami and Palm Beach, Florida, where Mar-a-Lago is. And we all know where the angry mango lives in. Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's funny you put Hawaii in there because I misspoke on one of my videos recently, and the word Hawaii came out of my mouth, and I was talking about Puerto Vallarta, coming back from my trip to Mexico. I said my trip to Mexico. It really was, I came back from Mexico on WestJet and got the flu with my full flight a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But instead I said Hawaii. And when I think about Mexico now, I think about the chaos that just happened in Mexico. And then out of my mouth came the word Hawaii. So I'm like, why did I say Hawaii? Maybe it's tuning into what you're picking up here from this.
The geoseismic potentials.
Right.
Over there. because that's when the Saturn-Neptune conjunction energies actually cross over there
All right.
in the beginning of Aries. And I've also put here Thailand because Thailand was the unfortunate recipient of um, an earthquake from Myanmar last year. And I do see that clusters of geoseismic activities is still around this part of the world as well.
Okay.
And certain energetic lines cross over Miami and particularly Palm Beach, Florida, and also Washington, D.C. So there can be more Mercury retrograde in Pisces energies, more smoke screen stuff, more news that's being put out to kind of distract us from the epi files as well.
Yeah. And yeah, there's a lot going on, but even the disclosure, we're going to put out new disclosures. Donald Trump's going to release all the information. I mean, well, that is a thing I think is amazing because I have a UFO sightings and I'm an experiencer with John Mack et al. Back in the day. It's also really just like, let's take the attention away from everything else. Like, let's get everybody's attention over here. Aliens and disclosure in the middle of like, oh yeah, by the way, there's 3 million unrevealed files in the e-files right now. Still, that legally must be released based on congressional, mandate for transparency. Legally, there's no way that Pam Bondi is allowed to hold on to that stuff.
Exactly. And there's still some things that's going on about ice in Minneapolis, like what I mentioned earlier, because over this total lunar blood moon eclipse, Minneapolis has got their Saturn at 12 to 13 degrees of Pisces, right on the eclipse point.
Oh, wow.
And the transit Chiron, Aries, and Ceres energies of this particular total lunar eclipse will cross right over Minneapolis as well.
So what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be yet another like shocking news story that finally tips the boat over there? What could it be?
It could be I don't know if this is so and so be called like a black swan event, but this can kind of trigger off like a nationwide movement.
Yeah. Well,
ice.
That old against ice. That old expression of things happen in threes, right? So there was the Renee Good, and then there was one and number two. What was the guy's name?
I forgot.
Me too. I got menopause brain, but then the man, and now there's life seems
to
always
third, yeah.
Well, we got the 3 in this eclipse. We talked about the number 3, and things happen in threes. It's just like weird truth, right? Luck happens in threes, bad luck happens in threes, and so we're waiting for the shoe to drop. What's the third thing? And having that Saturn on the eclipse in Minneapolis's chart is it's a pretty daunting story.
Oh yeah, particularly when you have a city's Saturn being total lunar eclipsed. Some things are about to be boiled over and things have been stirring already.
Right. So it's almost like Minneapolis is playing the role of sort of something for the collective, the United States collective, to be a tipping point piece of real estate for the USA itself.
Mm-hmm. I'm anticipating some protests to break out in Minneapolis over this total lunar blood moon eclipse, and then suppressive control is going to be even more ferocious. Mm-hmm. Because of that Saturnian energy being activated for the city via this total lunar blood moon eclipse. So there's some things to look at, put it that way. And last but not least, Uranus is angular over Uranus is angular in energy over central India. So this can be also talking about the Nipah virus they're trying to stir in the media as well. I've not excluded other places like Senegal and Guinea in Africa, and also my friends over in Australia as well. There's some things going on over this total lunar blood moon eclipse. This could be geoseismic. This could be something else.
Well, you do, and you do think that maybe that there could be like the Nipah virus could be a big deal, or is it something else? I see you highlighted that, right?
For India, it will be like stirring of the Nipah virus, the hype thing, because Mercury in Pisces is a hyping energy, right?
Okay.
And Mercury is like retrograding. There's so probably more news about, more cases of this, like
Hmm.
just trying to make us more anxiety ridden.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Particularly with that Mercury retrograde activating this eclipse 3 times via transit.
Right. Going over that same degree. Yeah.
Yeah, via opposition, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Via opposition.
So, for the last bit, I think we did pretty well in terms of time. I've basically taken some time to kind of summarize what does this total lunar eclipse means for the 12 signs. And so I'm just going to go through this super fast. I'm just going to like show all this like 5 to 10 seconds on each slide. People can just watch it on their computer, take a screenshot, and just see what works for them.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad you did that. When I do the intro, I'll highlight that, could be timestamped that this is here for them at the end of the world stuff. Wonderful.
So this is like for more like personal astrology, what can be happening for you according to the 12 signs. So I start out with Virgo, of course, my sign, my rising sign. And then I've gone backwards. All the way till Leo.
Wonderful.
And I think that's it.
And because of the Virgo rising, and when you grab those screenshots, guys, you can trust that information will be precise.
Hopefully. I mean, I can't stand my spelling mistakes, but Mercury is now spinning me all over the.
Spelling isn't necessarily a Virgo trait. It's more like that routine and discipline. And speaking of service, actually, funny enough, my anti-vertex thing is my vertex is in Virgo, so I seem to always get myself into connections with people who are Virgos, which has always really been exciting for me. I seem to attract Virgos like, I don't know, like an apple attracts the fruit flies.
So this particular total lunar eclipse is going to be something. This should not be new to people because we've already gone through 2 previous total lunar eclipses. This is like the hat trick, put it that way.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a big deal, though. We and the old expression, "May we live in interesting times," which is somewhat of a curse, is true. We are in that, and as you said, with the Saros cycle, and you gave us certain dates, like 2008 jumped out for the subprime loan scandal and the financial crisis, and then also what jumped out at me was Fatima in 1917, because those.
1917.
But I remember 1954 was in there, and so those of you who are diving down rabbit holes of political stories and wars and markets, those dates will have a resonance to what we're going through at this time, right? Now, one thing we didn't really talk about in any depth, but is that any country that has a strong Virgo rising position, and that is Lebanon, and that is also Mexico, will have
Switzerland as well, if I'm not
and
wrong.
Switzerland, Mexico, and what else did I just say? Lebanon. And right now, United States, just a few days ago, said all non-essential diplomatic personnel should leave Lebanon. So South Lebanon in particular is on the map redrawing wet dream of the Greater Israel Project. So we could see some of that playing out. And we could also see the problem with Mexico not just being a one-off.
Yes, definitely. I mean, this particular total lunar blood moon eclipse will really test our faith a lot because it's the Virgo and Pisces axis. I don't know about you, but I do have some ex-colleagues from the southern part of the US when I was working in Chicago, actually. And one of them said this that I still remember that's very relevant for this particular eclipse is like, Jesus is a biscuit. Let him salt you up. Have you heard that before?
No, I haven't. That's a good one.
Yeah, Jesus is a biscuit. Yeah, that's your catchphrase for this total lunar eclipse because the whole phrase is about allowing divine and universal love and grace and teachings to immerse within you, and it will just sop up all the gravy. That means all your sorrows and burdens
Yeah, I
from you.
love that. I love that. And there is something about let go, let God. It's a South Node eclipse. And I do like the
Yeah.
purity and the feminine quality that comes through the Virgoian archetype. We have one of the best stars in the heavens, Spica there, or Spica, some people say it differently. And she's a graceful being. So there's a lot going on that Virgo isn't just about the details and the precision and the routine. It's also got a archetypal feminine, divine purity to it. And I do think that the world, like Fatima in 1917, needs that to return. So in a Gnostic tradition, we'd say the return of Sophia. And we'll see how this occurs as we get rid of the masculine patriarchal control and also the demonic slash archons who are, from the astral running the world. So we do have literally fallen angels running the world. So we have to understand that we're stuck in an old paradigm. It's going to bust out. I want to add one more thing. Pluto out of bounds. You used 1948 in your slideshow for the foundation of a country in the Middle East. And that it has been nothing but a loss of life in the Middle East ever since then. And, and that country basically runs the world. I'm not going to even say it. I don't want to get shadow banned. But that 1948 timeframe, the 1940s, was Pluto in the North Declination out of bounds. And the North Declination, as we talked about, you and I before, Rosie Finn has done research and a great astrologer, that North Declination allows for the institutions of tyranny and repression to be instituted, like the CIA was created back then, like the World Bank and the IMF. And also the nation of Ai in the Middle East, which led to the Nakba. So all said and done, that path is now reversing. Pluto is going to be in the South Declination, which was like the Protestant Reformation. It's like the
power to the people instead.
Yes, power to the people. French Revolution. The American Revolution was to overthrow the repression of power structures that were no longer wanted by the people. And so when we get all anxious about it, we know that the sky is telling us something different is starting to happen. And that's why I don't think people are going to buy the manipulation anymore. I think even if you're not a questioner or a rebel, and everybody listening, go take the test online by Gretchen Rubin called The Four Tendencies. Gretchen Rubin, The Four Tendencies. The majority of people in the world are obligers. And then there's the upholders. So the obligers say, I'll do what you want. I just like to follow whatever you say. Yeah, give me that protocol during the pandemic. No one's tested. Is it safe? I'll take it. They're going to go along to get along. And then the upholders will go along to get along to a certain point, but they have to have an internal reference point to know if it's really true for them. And then we have the questioners, which I am, and scientists who question things during the COVID.
I'm a questioner as well. So.
We're questioners. And then we have rebels, they're like, don't tell me what to do. And I'm not doing it. You can't boss me around. But the thing is that the rebels and the questioners are a small percentage of society. But we're also the canary in the coal mine. We're the ones who start letting you know something's wrong. We're the conspiracy theorists that you think are nut jobs until we turn out to be right. Then you get the fact that the upholders begin to go, maybe, maybe that questioner's got a point there. Maybe I should be looking at this. And so it cascades downward. And I don't think that the obligers, which we often call the sheeple, I don't think they're going to be able to continue along the old narrative. There's too much evidence to the contrary. There's something rotten in the world here.
In recent times, because I watched the latest episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, and the guest judge is Brooke Shields. Her chart basically will be lit up like a Christmas tree with this upcoming total lunar eclipse. If you look at her history, she did appear in Playboy when she was age 10.
Oh, wow.
Before she appeared in that movie, was it Pretty Baby?
Yeah.
She did say in that program, because RuPaul did ask her, when is your first kiss? I was 11. He was 27. He's my co-star in that movie.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, she's
so tell me.
Yeah.
And when I looked at her chart, she's got a mutable T-square.
What's this, a podcast that she's hosting?
I'm not sure though, but I did catch like a short snippet, and that one just blew all the younger generation viewers to kind of research her whole life story. Because if you put it in a more, there's no sugarcoating it, she's basically been pimped out at a very young age by the mom to Hollywood.
Right, right. Well,
And
a lot of those stars were made, right? They were made. Like it didn't just happen. They were groomed.
yes, and I'm not even talking about the one older than that, like Judy Garland. Like the stories that they tell is horrendous. And I think
Mhm.
that this actually could, because Pluto is an Aquarius and is going out of bound in the southern declination, I think this is like the sunset period for Hollywood. Not
Um,
Hollywood, Hollyweird.
Hollyweird. I agree. It's a sunset for Hollyweird. And I also think that there's a kind of onomatopoeia, which is in literature. It's like, it was a dark and stormy night, but like the weather is going to mimic something deeper thematically within the collective narrative. I think when we see things like catastrophic seismic activity maybe hitting California. I'm sorry, guys, if
I'm
you live
just
there.
surprised that they left that little part, what Brooke Shields said on the show as a judge.
Yeah, that they didn't delete that,
Intact. They
edit
did,
that
they
out.
didn't censor it. So it's like, oh, okay. Like if they didn't censor it, means that it's free for all at this point. It's whether you want to believe or question or otherwise. Because there's
Exactly.
no coming back from it once it's aired internationally.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Well, it is a tipping point. It's a tipping point of
It
public
is.
awareness about the what's been going on all along. And I remember back when Pizzagate was a thing, and everybody thought the Pizzagate people were nut jobs, and now we're like, yeah, of course it was. Of course, there's been trafficking of human beings in inappropriate ages for a long, long time. And it's been going on underneath everyone's noses. But a lot of people picked up on it long time before. And it's not a
Mm-hmm.
conspiracy, it's an actuality. For all the conspiracy theorists out there, it's like, yeah, I told you so, but I don't want to be right. Like, I don't want to have to be the one who is right. I wanted like everyone to listen before this massive exposure is happening right now with the e-files and stuff like that.
Yeah. I
So
mean, if you think about what news may be coming up over the next couple of weeks, when Mercury's like, going back and forth in Pisces, there's going to be even more uncovered. That's going to be uncomfortable, to be
well,
honest.
and Virgo is the virgin. It's the
And it's
virginal,
the energy
pure
of purification.
purification, the feminine, the virginal. And there's something about this like blood moon eclipse energy that is coming out when we're seeing the underbelly of society in terms of power structures. And also, of course, the real point isn't just that young women have been inappropriately used. It's also it's used for blackmail. It's used for power and control. It's like
Honeypot schemes.
the
Yeah.
honeypot schemes, exactly. Extortion,
Yeah.
blackmail, control. So the secrets that are coming out now are very Virgo, virgin, purity. I mean, there's no two ways about it. So, and a blood moon eclipse, I'm going to tell you something I love, and then we'll finish. Austin Kopek years ago, talking with his co-host Chris Brennan, said, he says, I think of a blood moon eclipse this way. And I think he's right. He said, it's going to cast, they said it's like the luminol spray on the crime scene that's going to show the blood on the floor when you put that light on it, that particular light. And so he's going to say it's like the things that are eerily showing up under the red blood moon energy were there all along, and now we can see them. And to me, it's also like a black light poster. When you have that old black light poster, a 70s girl here growing up in that era, it's just a poster, but then you put the black light on it and luminesces something, interestingly different. And so I do feel like, unfortunately, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing this blood moon eclipse. If you ain't seen nothing yet, if you think that the e-files have been shocking and despairing and everything else, I think that there's way more that this eerie blood moon eclipse is going to
I
provide.
think you know what? We are getting a double dosage of a total blood moon eclipse, because the last one that occurred in September 2025, it was at 15 Pisces, where Mercury will also reactivate that point as well.
Okay, so we're really under it. We got a lot of luminol spray and a lot of lights showing us what
Make it
icky
double.
things Things
Make
a
it a
double
double
under.
shot.
A double shot. And the Transparency Act, I think, was in November in the wake of that eclipse in the fall. So the actual Transparency Act itself is a part of what unfolded after the Pisces eclipse. So we can even see that following through as we go through the rest of this year. So true. One thing I was thinking about the Transparency Act is that it seems like shooting yourself in the foot if you're Donald Trump. But on the other hand, if people have leverage over him for blackmail, he's just busted the lever. I'm not saying he's a genius. I'm not saying that this is a guy who masterminded this, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, you got a bunch of blackmail on me. Well, let me show the world the blackmail. Because right now, that if that was major leverage over him by the blackmail operation, they don't have that leverage anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's already he outed himself.
Some will be sacrificed, like the former Prince Andrew will definitely, because to be honest, when I looked at his chart, he's much less than smart. So
Well,
he will
we
be
both think
sacrificed in the whole scheme.
yeah, he may not be long for the world,
No, because I do see that he may, depending on how far they want to prosecute him, he may unalive himself. But I hope he doesn't get, I don't know, swapped out.
Okay.
Like what has been floating around, because with like that Pisces Virgo energy, with this particular total lunar eclipse, you can get swapped out with a body double. So
Yes, absolutely. And we know that a lot of unalivings are just people going off to hide in another country, and they're not unalived by themselves. So, like, that's not what really happened.
exactly.
But then the other thing I was going to say is that, like, there's just no way that there's just one solo rogue royal who went off the rails. This is.
Oh no, everyone knows they're all in
Yeah.
it in some way, shape, or form. Just that who actually chose to just keep quiet about
Right.
it.
Right.
You know.
Well, it's time will tell, and it's the end of monarchies anyway. Regulus is no longer activated in Leo, and the whole structure of monarchy doesn't have to be real monarchy like in England. It can also be the idea of top-down power. I'm on the throne. You're the peasants, serfs underneath me. I think kingdoms as a concept are closing down as we see the Virgo energy come to life. I can't believe it was 2012 where Regulus slipped to 0 Virgo, because everyone thought that the world was going to end with the Mayan calendar, right? There's like going to be a sea change in the collective. But I think the sea change is away from, a way in which we have allowed power structures to be somehow imaginarily trustworthy, as if there's actually somebody that would tell us what to do, like a big daddy, big mama, queen or king, or political figure, when in fact it doesn't matter left or right, Democrat or Republican. I think those stories have come to an end. I think that those beliefs that there's a higher power party that has the right side of it all, I think people are seeing through that now. So I think we're going to see some incredible new forms of collective uprising that lead to new forms of collective power. And I'm so glad I get to live through it. I'm so glad I'm still here for this.
Put it this way, we still got 9 more years of Pluto going out of bound intermittently throughout the years to 2035. And if I'm not wrong, 2030 onwards, Uranus will go out of bound as well, the ruler of that Pluto in Aquarius. So things are going to get crazier. 2030 to 2035. This is only the beginning.
And that's when the asteroid Apophis gets close to Earth, the closest approach that we still don't know if it's safe or not. I think it's 2033. Maybe.
That's if the Earth is still around. Whatever story they're trying to pander. Then, like...
well, I liked about let's Jesus take the wheel. Let's let go, let God. Let's get our still point. Find your routine. If I was everybody listening and you go, what the hell I do with all this shit? Listening to this, I'd say, like, can you find a soft, sweet moment of your day where you can be available for prayer, introspection, stillness, and quietude? I still have my morning candle. I was up at 6 a.m. burning, and just allow something calm within you to settle. I had a therapist years ago, and he was so cool. He used to take a giant pop bottle, soda bottle, like a giant Coke bottle. I mean, the jumbo see-through bottle that you could get Coke or Sprite in. So it's made of plastic. And then he would put water in it, and then he would put mud and sand and grit in it. And then he would shake the thing up, and it was very silty. So you'd be looking at a water bottle full of clouds of dirt, right? And he'd sit it down in front of me and he'd say, "Can you let the dust settle? Can you let the dust settle?" And we would just sit there and we wouldn't talk until that swirling mud had precipitated down to the bottom. And it's just that idea that we're in so much collective calamity and anxiety and worry and distraction, especially social media. Digital detoxes are good. And can you just let that settle somewhere, somehow during your day? A dedicated time, Virgo, a dedicated place, routine. It's worth it. It's worth it.
It really tests you the ability to practice stillness in your life.
It does. And yet that is the key, the golden ticket to getting through it, like being in the eye of a hurricane instead of being tossed around in the swirl of it all. So that's our happy ending suggestions for everyone. To me, stillness is candles. They really help me if I just stare at a candle flame and just watch that flame, and I really come straight down to stillness for me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And Donny and I are so enjoying getting to know each other in our third podcast together. So, Donny, I'm going to put this one out on Saturday, and I can't wait to see you again. We'll be doing more things together, especially that Leo eclipse.
I think before that it will be April.
What's happening in April again?
The third week of April. I mean, it's full of shenanigans.
Oh, God, yeah. And we have that Saturn and Mars activation
and Mercury together with it.
And we also have, Aries stellium. And we also have, I think we have a Kalasarpa yoga. I think everybody's squishing on one side of the north and south.
Venus, Uranus at 29, Taurus conjunction.
Okay. Well, we'll be talking for that as well. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. Donny, I'm going to hang us up too. We're not going to sit around and chit chat because I need to make some breakfast. I was up with this guy just for this guy. I got up at 6 a.m. All right.
Always remember, Jesus is a biscuit.
I love that. And I always hum Carrie Underwood. Jesus, take the wheel. And you don't like Jesus, Buddha, take the wheel. Krishna, take the wheel. Oh my God.
All right, then. So good night from here.
Okay, good night for that. And I'm going for more coffee. Bless your soul for staying up late. And thank you for doing this with me.
Cool.
Okay, ciao, bye.
Ciao, bye.
Ciao.
Lunatic astrology.